Good luck.
Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün İngiltere'nin ve dünyanın en iyilerinden University of Surrey'de eğitim ve burs olanaklarını Emma'dan dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı questions kısmından sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Emma, the stage is yours now.
Thank you very much. So just need to get my presentation up on the screen for you. Fantastic. Hopefully everyone can see that. So as introduced, my name is Emma and I work within the international student recruitment team here at the University of Surrey. So I'll do a short presentation for all of you, and then it would be fantastic if you can put any questions you have in the chat box during the presentation, and I'll try my best to answer them at the end. I will also, at the end of this presentation, put in a link to a short survey, a form, if you'd like to receive any further information about a particular program or course, or you have questions on entry requirements, very specific to your own individual situation, then please just let me know, and we will take it from there. So starting off with a bit of general background information about the University of Surrey. I presume that you may have done a little bit of your own research already, but in case you haven't had the opportunity to look us up, University of Surrey. So we are a small to medium-sized university. So we have around 16,500 students. That compares with some of the bigger 30,000+ student universities. So we're small to medium size, and we are located in the south of England. That makes us half an hour on the train south of central London. So we are in what you'd call the English countryside, but very accessible, close to both Gatwick and Heathrow airports. And with a very short travel distance either to the capital or down to the south coast, if that's your preference. So a little bit about us as a university. We are a campus university. What that means is that you would essentially be living in a small student village. So rather than a city-based university, which is where your academic buildings, your faculty buildings and support networks would be scattered across the town. A campus university in a campus environment means that everything you're looking for is going to be located in one place, right here, predominantly on our Stag Hill campus. Now, many of you may have already been very familiar with a campus university if you've done a bachelor's degree. This is what our main campus looks like. It's where 90% of the academic buildings are located, as well as the percentage of our university accommodation. You also have a lot of the support facilities here on our Stag Hill campus, the Students' Union, the Centre for Wellbeing, Doctors' Bank, Post Office, places to go and eat and socialise, to buy a coffee with friends, and also the 24-hour library and learning centre. In terms of where we're located in Guildford, the town centre, we're about 10 minutes walk from the train station, and then the town centre itself is probably 5 minutes or so beyond the train station. So it's very easily accessible if you like to walk. However, we do also have a bus route running directly from the town centre and the train station all the way through our Stag Hill campus and onto Manor Park, which is our second campus at the University of Surrey. So again, very straightforward to travel from either campus into the town centre or the train station, a quick 30 minutes on the train into central London, and you'll be in a very different environment. So Manor Park is probably slightly quieter than Stag Hill in that predominantly in terms of academic buildings, it's really home to our School of Veterinary Medicine and also the Sports Science faculty. You can see kind of like towards the back of the picture, some additional buildings there. And that's actually the Surrey Research Park, which is located next door to the Manor Park campus, and where a lot of health and physical science companies are based, and also our School of Health and Biological Sciences is based on the Surrey Research Park. So those are the academic buildings on our Manor Park campus. You will also very clearly see a lot of student accommodation. So Manor Park is home to over 50% of university halls of residence, and these tend to be the higher levels, the higher bands of student accommodation. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Additionally, at the very front of the photo, you'll see the beginnings of a rugby or a football pitch. Manor Park is also home to the Surrey Sports Parks. That's a multi-million-pound development with numerous pitches, as well as a lot of internal facilities. And again, you'll see a little bit more on that as we progress. So again, Stag Hill campus we have there. That top photo you can see is the Surrey Business School moving on to the School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. The bottom, again, a picture of the campus as a whole. And you can just about make out the Guildford Cathedral in the background, which is where you'll all be graduating should you come to the University of Surrey. The lake there in the foreground is where a lot of students like to revise or have barbecues in the summer, and also a lot of activities by the Students' Union are held in the warmer weather months. Manor Park, as I mentioned, the Surrey Sports Park below, also home to an Olympic-sized swimming pool. And then Guildford, to give you a bit of context, I mentioned that Stag Hill is about a 10 to 15 minute walk from the town centre. You get a little bit of an idea there of what it looks like. It has all of the shops, facilities, restaurants, theatres and galleries that you might hope from your local town. Again, if you prefer an even bigger city, you've got London on your doorstep, or if you come from a coastal town, then you can travel down to the south coast, to Portsmouth, to Brighton, and so on. So we have 3 faculties here at the University of Surrey. And you may already have a very clear idea of the programme you're looking for. These aren't an exhaustive list of programmes, but more the kind of general subject areas that we tend to cover. So please do check out our website for any further details here. So we have the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, which is very well known for our Surrey Business School. We have the Guildford School of Acting, Hospitality, Events and Tourism Management, one of the best in the UK and also top 7 in the world for that school. And also our music programme, extremely highly ranked, as is criminology, which is usually a top 10 in the UK programme there. And you can tie that in with sociology and a few other subjects. Then we have our Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences. So we cover a large range of engineering programmes in particular. You can see that under mechanical engineering, we also offer automotive and aerospace engineering, and that's both bachelor's or MEng options. We have electronic and electrical, civil and environmental engineering at postgraduate level, chemical and process engineering. We also, as you move into the Faculty of Health and Medical Sciences, offer biomedical engineering as well. So again, last faculty here, very briefly, School of Biosciences and also our Nutrition and Food Science are very well known. We've won many Queen's Anniversary prizes for our research in this area. We're one of only 8 schools, I believe, in the UK to offer veterinary medicine. And then you have sports and exercise there, which uses a lot of the facilities at Surrey Sports Park. Now, it's worth noting We offer medical sciences such as biological sciences and biomedical science. We are not a school that offers medicine or dentistry. So although it says health sciences there, we do not offer those two programs. So if that's specifically what you're looking for, we may not be able to help you on this occasion. So a couple of schools now and subject areas that I really want to highlight, largely because of their offerings at kind of postgraduate level as well. You can see here the School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. So I mentioned we're 7th or 11th in the world for this program, depending on which ranking system you look at. We are first in the UK for our School of Hospitality, Tourism and Events Management. You'll see a large list of programs on the left-hand side, some newer programs that have recently come up and are very much worth you investigating further. International tourism management can now be studied at bachelor's level with transport. Obviously, the situation with COVID-19 and the pressures put on the hospitality, tourism and kind of air travel sectors, very much they're going to need people who have a strategic way of thinking at managerial level to help the sector adapt to the challenges and to the new environment it now faces. Postgraduate taught level, so your master's level, we offer both international hotel management and strategic hotel management. Now, a key difference between these two programs to mention to you, something from the admissions point of view, is if you are looking to move into this sector and perhaps your bachelor's degree was in a different subject area completely, then we'll always recommend international hotel management to you. If, however, your bachelor's degree was in this school at another university perhaps, or you have a lot of extensive work experience at managerial level within a hotel or the hospitality industry, then we would consider you for strategic hotel management. So that's probably a very simple way to look at the differences between the two. And then something to be aware of is that we do offer this program at PhD level. And so there are a large range of options there and a lot of potential supervisors for you to contact if this is something you're looking for. Now, artificial intelligence. I mentioned this because it's still a relatively new program, a couple of years old at the university, but it is the only program of its kind with this content in the UK. So we're covering vision, speech and 5G processing here. You can see the 5G Innovation Centre, the Institute for Communication Systems here on your screen. That's the photo, the building in the photo. Now, we are one of the leading partners globally in terms of developing 5G technology, and we worked with a lot of major telecoms companies globally to improve that technology. That's something we've been doing for several years now. There are 5 different master's programs in this kind of broader subject area for you to consider. If you do have any further questions on these specifically, please do contact me after today's presentation and we can speak moving forward. So this is quite a general example of entry requirements. Like I said just now, please do contact me for your individual with your individual transcripts and degree certificates or diploma results, for example, because this is something that has to be done on a case-by-case basis. But very generally, we accept both the Lycée Anatolian diploma for direct entry to our bachelor's degrees. And we generally ask for around 65 to 70% in your final year here for direct entry. However, if you don't meet those requirements, we do have an international foundation year here at the university, which we can speak to you further about. So please do not worry. Similarly, at postgraduate level, we'll accept a bachelor's degree, usually with around about a 2.6 to 2.8 GPA. Now, something to keep in mind is that at undergraduate level, you may have subject-specific requirements dependent on the program that you're interested in. Usually for the sciences, health or physical, you may be required to have studied maths or a science or two sciences in your final year of school, and we will ask for particular grades to have been achieved in those subject areas. At postgraduate level, quite often, usually for the kind of science-based programs, but also for some social sciences, we will ask for the degree to be in a relevant subject and or you to have work experience that supports your application. So if you're unsure whether you might be granted an offer, again, please do come through to me and I'd love to be of assistance. So pre-sessional English is essentially for every program, there will be specific English language requirements as one of your conditions of an offer. Now, I can't really say what these are for every single program because they tend to differ dependent on the subject itself. Usually, if I take IELTS as an example, we ask for an overall score, a particular score in writing, and then scores for the other components involved, and that will differ on a program by program basis. If you're struggling to meet the entry requirements for your particular program, we do offer pre-sessional English courses prior to the start of your studies. Now this year, if you're looking at September 2021 or at postgraduate level, February 2022 entry points, the pre-sessional English courses are taking place online this summer. Now, you can see the approximate dates that these will be running from. They may still fill up. They usually do run out of spaces quite early on. So if you are interested, you do need to have an offer to study at Surrey before you can apply for the pre-sessional English course. So please keep that in mind if you're still deciding whether or not you want to submit an application. So off the back of you knowing kind of a little bit more about the programs and kind of entry requirements that we have here, obviously it's now April, but in terms of some brief updates for you, I mentioned already that the pre-sessional English courses for September 21 and February 22 entry points are going to be online. What I also want to let you know is that if you're applying for direct entry or applying for pre-sessional English, we are accepting online IELTS indicator, Duolingo, or the TOEFL Home Edition tests. That is for either direct entry or for entry onto our online pre-sessional English courses. At the moment, we're only accepting them for those two entry points. So if you're not looking to apply until September 2022 or beyond, it is likely that we will need you to take the IELTS UKVI test, the academic test for access to a pre-sessional English course, and often that's our preferred test for direct entry onto the bachelor's too. The other two kind of updates there, just want to make you aware of where you can find further information on our website about kind of how we've responded to COVID over the past year. Obviously in the UK, it very much seems we're coming out the other side now to this pandemic. The vaccination program is moving on fantastically well. Restrictions are starting to be lifted as we see countries within Europe go into their third lockdown. The UK is starting to come out of its lockdown, and more kind of businesses, and meetups are being allowed and are opening back up. So it's looking really positive here in the UK. That's something to keep in mind for this September if that's the entry point you're interested in. We are going to be operating a hybrid teaching model this September. Essentially, this means there will be face-to-face teaching taking place, but this will be supported by some online elements such as some assessments and some lectures taking place online. Obviously, even with the situation in the UK improving, your health and safety and that of the staff is still the priority. Now, this is something that I really want to highlight, the professional training placement scheme here at Surrey. And firstly, if you're looking at undergraduate level, then some of these stats will be applicable just to you, but I will highlight the programs that this scheme is available for at postgraduate level as well. So you can see some of the big names that we work with on the left-hand side of your screen. What is this training placement scheme? Essentially, it's between 6 to 12 months of work experience at either graduate level or postgraduate level employment. So you would stop your studies at undergraduate level, you would take on the professional training placement between the second and third years of your bachelor's degree. And at postgraduate level, you would take on a placement after you'd completed your year of academic study. There are 2,300 plus placement partners that we have around the world, industry partners. So this is a global scheme, and each of those companies offers various employment options for you to take up on. Now, you would apply for a placement very much as you apply for a job. So this isn't a guaranteed scheme in that the university doesn't hand you a placement for you to go out and do. You have to choose whether you want to take part in the scheme and then go through the application process as if you were applying for any other job. But you are, of course, supported throughout the whole application process. And you will have a dedicated tutor who will come out and visit you 2 to 3 times during your placement to make sure that everything is going as it should. And as I mentioned, this is a global scheme. So you have the option to apply for either a paid or unpaid placement pretty much anywhere around the world. Now, why did I want to make a point of highlighting our particular professional training placement scheme? Now, this is something that various universities will offer. They will talk about a year in industry, and that is great. And that is certainly something that I would always wholeheartedly recommend you consider and take as an important decision. However, we are the university that is first in the UK and 7th in the world for our work placement scheme and our research partnerships with employers. So you would be coming to a university that is ranked first in the UK for its links with these kind of companies that you see on your screen. That is why we have such an incredible reputation in this area. And around undergraduate level, around 40% of the students that take up the placement come back with a job offer for when they graduated. Obviously, with the graduate route visa scheme now in play, that's something that could prove crucial to your career development. So these are the programs at postgraduate level at this time that are offering placements, either 6 or 12-month options. Something to really highlight is that these are only available currently at September entry points. So if you're not interested in a placement at postgraduate level, please consider our February entry point. If you don't have the relevant work experience yet on your CV and this is something you're very much interested in, then we'd ask you to apply for September 21 or 2022 entry. So in terms of career support here at the university, something I would like to highlight is that the career support we offer is available for 3 years after you graduate and leave us. So as an alumni, we will continue to give you access to this service, potentially whilst you're going through the graduate route visa scheme and for the whole duration of that period and beyond. So that's something to keep in mind and perhaps to question other universities on. What does the career support actually look like? Well, essentially, you'd be given throughout your degree and beyond support in writing and creating a CV. There are application sessions you can attend where a guidance counsellor will assist you in completing application forms, in talking you through what information is required, in helping you practice for virtual or in-person assessment days, for example. There's also interview support. So there are workshops where you can come together and practice your interview techniques and improve that. We also have biannual careers fairs where you'll have the opportunity to meet with the hiring managers for those globally recognized companies in person. They come and visit the university and you get a chance to network and to really learn more about the kind of roles that they have available at this time and what you could be best suited for. If you're still, however, struggling to find employment beyond university, then the careers support team is also available to help you find those positions that are relevant to your experience and your skill set. Okay, lastly, very much a case of last but not least, life outside of the classroom. So some things to consider and be aware of away from the academic side of university life. So if you can think back to those campus maps that I showed you at the very beginning of this presentation, you'll remember seeing a fair amount of university accommodation across both Stag Hill and Manor Park. Now, we have guaranteed accommodation, especially for our overseas students, for the first year of your studies. So please do keep that in mind and ensure that that's something offered by other universities you may be considering. We have around 2,800 or so rooms on our Stag Hill campus, a few hundred on Hazel Farm, and Manor Park has around 3,200 rooms. Now, how do they differ? So in terms of university accommodation, we have 7 different bands of accommodation, and each band offers you something a little different. So the lower bands are generally shared facilities, for example, bathroom spaces, and there'll be slightly smaller single bedrooms. Our higher bands will be ensuite accommodation, and these range from single rooms up to rooms for couples and to studio flats as well, if that's more of interest to you. Stag Hill, home to the majority of our academic buildings, has a whole range of this accommodation from the very lowest bands up until kind of smaller ensuite rooms. Hazel Farm has our lower bands of accommodation, so it does mean that it's cheaper and more affordable. It's a little further out from the academic buildings, but if you're looking to feel more a part of regular residential life in the UK, then this would be the environment for you. Lastly, Manor Park, home to the School of Veterinary Medicine and the Surrey Sports Park, definitely the place to be if you're athletic and like to go to the gym. This is very much more of a student village feel, in that it has thousands of students living here without all the academic buildings. So it's a very nice, gentler way of life, but it still has the facilities such as a reception, a kind of hangout that's a restaurant and coffee shop and bar wrapped up in one, and also other places to eat and to socialise in the sports park itself. Supporting your well-being is something that's really important to me personally. We obviously have all experienced quite a tough and challenging year, and many of you will have gone from being quite social beings and meeting up with your friends and having your lessons taking place in person to a lot of online study and facing a lot of restrictions on a day-to-day basis on and off over the last 12 months or so. So want you to be aware of the Centre for Wellbeing, for example, so our on-campus counselling service available to all students. Obviously, at faculty level, you'll have a personal tutor who will be in touch with you regularly. But also, every faculty has its own faculty hive, its own support hub and team of individuals you can reach out to should you require. The Surrey Hive, just in case the name doesn't spell it out, which it doesn't to me, but it's basically our one-stop shop for any questions you may have when you're on the Stag Hill campus. In particular, you can drop in between 8 AM and 11 PM and speak with a member of the team and receive assistance or be signposted in the right direction. So with our clubs and societies, we have over 180 different clubs and societies at the university. So a large number of the sports clubs will be based at the Surrey Sports Park on our Manor Park campus, and those sports clubs that we can't accommodate on campus will be based in the local area. The societies range from a whole variety of faculty and program-based societies to interests in Bhangra, in anime, in cinema, in food and wine tasting. There will be something to suit everybody, and we certainly recommend that you get involved in at least one club or society whilst you're here to give you the chance to meet a whole new group of people with common interests. So we do have over 140, I believe, languages currently spoken at the university. So there is a large multicultural group of students here waiting to meet you and for you to socialise with. And that certainly is helped by joining a club or society. Mentioned the Surrey Sports Park a couple of times now. You've seen the picture of the swimming pool before, and this just gives you a bit of an idea of the kind of gym space there. We do also have squash courts, climbing centre, cycling studios, badminton, tennis courts, and so on. Essentially everything you could possibly want. The Surrey Sports Park is actually kind of home to a couple of pro and premiership rugby and basketball clubs in the UK, in England. They train and play at the university. It was also back in London 2012 when we hosted the Olympics. It was a training facility for both the Olympics and the Paralympics. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the standard of the facilities that we have here at Surrey. Moving forward, so you've completed your bachelor's degree or your master's programme. What is there for you in the future? How can we as a university benefit you and the rest of your career? Well, as I mentioned there, we have an outstanding record for graduate employability. So our graduates, regardless of university rankings, of individual subject rankings, our graduates themselves are ranked 12th in the country from employers in terms of employability, skills gained, That's something very much worth keeping in mind, especially as I've mentioned before, if you're looking for the graduate route visa, for which we can assist you with. We have an international support team here at the university who can help you in applying for that scheme if that's something you're looking for. And the career support obviously will continue to remain available to you. So we continue to work with and support our alumni. We have a dedicated alumni team who are always there should you have any questions going forwards or want to get involved in in-country alumni activity moving forwards in the future. That is me. That is me kind of finished in the presentation. So I do appreciate you listening to me for this time. I'm going to have a look now to see what kind of questions are in the chat. You can see here I've put in the international at surrey.ac.uk email address. You can email me directly as well. And then we have the live chat function, which gives you an opportunity to speak to me or a member of my team Monday to Friday around 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. approximately, depending on the clocks changing, the time differences. That will restart from next week because we're in the Easter closure period here at the university currently. So thank you very much for that. I am going to just see now if I can bring up the chat box. I've got lots of hellos, which is fantastic. So thank you very much. And go on to the question side. Okay. So I'm going to just go through some of the questions that you have put in the chat box. Please do kind of put more in there now if you think of something else while I am talking. Okay, so first question, do we have to study the foundation year? Is it possible to start the first year directly? So no, if you have completed the diploma in Turkey, then we can take your final year diploma results for direct entry onto your preferred bachelor's degree, as long as you meet the overall grade requirement and also any subject-specific requirements that we may ask for. So you can apply before having received your final grades. You would then likely get what we call a conditional offer, and your conditional offer would be dependent on you achieving and meeting all the conditions in terms of grades when you get your final certificate and transcripts. Next question, can we get the work permit after graduation from 1 year? So the graduate route visa is the latest scheme from the UK government. It's a 2-year scheme. So it is something that you can apply for, and I think you have 6 months to find employment, 3 to 6 months to find employment before you apply for that scheme. So you should be eligible for that. But what I would always say is that we have an international support team who are specially trained in visa questions and with visa knowledge, and they are always there for you to go and speak to about the application process. And I believe it is dependent on getting a job offer. You get a certain window for applying for and receiving a job offer. But yes, in terms of being flexible, I think if you wanted to end it early and return to Turkey or go to another country after that, then I don't see why that wouldn't be possible. I don't know that you could just complete it in 1 or 2 sections, though. I think it has to be a consecutive period of time. Can we get a conditional acceptance if we can take the IELTS score? So yes, you can apply for your preferred bachelor's or master's degree without your evidence of English language. You don't have to have that at the point of application. However, you will obviously need to provide that before you then have your offer made unconditional and you can start the visa process. So our recommendation is to if you're looking for September 2021 entry, for example, is to look at taking your IELTS. We're accepting IELTS indicator at the moment, the online IELTS test. Look at taking that test if you haven't already, ideally in the next month or so, because then if you don't quite meet the entry requirements of your course, you either have the opportunity to retake it before the start of your program, or you should have enough time to still get entry onto one of our pre-sessional English courses, should you need to. And please, at the end of this, I'll give out my email address again. If you do have any specific questions on entry requirements and English language requirements for your own program, let me know, and I will be able to give you that information. So you mentioned someone else's question on GPA requirement for finance programs at master level. So where I mentioned that the GPA we usually ask for is around 2.6 to 2.8, if you have a slightly lower GPA, it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that we won't be able to accept your application. We may look at any additional work experience you have, or voluntary work experience and internship in that area that can help with your application. So applying for a master's program is free, and you do it directly through the program page on our website. So I would recommend you can either drop me an email or simply complete the application process there. Make sure, however, that you include an up-to-date copy of your CV listing any work experience, specifically in that area, or transferable skills that you have, so that the admissions team can take everything into consideration. Next question is, can international students do an internship while studying? So there's kind of a couple of answers to that question, both positive, you'll be pleased to know. So firstly, if you require a student visa to come to the UK and study, then you can work for up to 20 hours a week on that visa, and that would be around your classes. So firstly, you would be able to potentially apply for a job or an internship whilst you're studying. Obviously, your studies should be your priority, and we do encourage you to consider that work-life balance to make sure you're not working all of the time without any chance to meet new people and really experience university life. Secondly, yes, the placement scheme that I mentioned earlier is certainly eligible for students and students on a student visa. So if you're required to go overseas for your placement, that would be covered by your student visa there. If you've got any more specific questions on that front, please do email me moving forward. Okay, next question. So do I have on-campus dorms? Yes, hopefully I've now answered this question actually. We do have lots of accommodation on campus, on both campuses, at a variety of price bands for you. What I would say is my recommendation in terms of looking on for pricing, if you visit the Our Accommodation section of the University of Surrey website, then we'll be able to give you information on the different options available there. And it also includes details on pricing. In terms of pricing for private accommodation, there is a lot of private accommodation in and around Guildford, so the town that the university is based in. Now, this ranges from kind of private landlords offering shared housing, but we do also have quite a lot of kind of independent halls of residence, you might call them. So very similar to on-campus halls of residence and student accommodation blocks, but available in the private sector, with many of those close to the train station and around a 5 to 10 minute walk from the university. Now, those prices vary quite dramatically. Obviously, shared housing with your friends will be certainly cheaper in some ways than all-inclusive private accommodation, but there is certainly something for every budget. I will see if I can just put the link into the chat now. Okay, so if you have a look in the chat box, I've just put the link to the accommodation section of our website. The University of Surrey does also have a letting service, and this means that we own some accommodation out and around Guildford itself, the town, that we let out to students, but they also have advisors that can give you guidance on applying for accommodation in the private sector should you prefer not to be on campus. Please also note, if you were a little worried about perhaps being an older postgraduate or mature student surrounded by a lot of 18-year-old undergraduates, we separate out our accommodation. So undergraduates, you'll be living with other students doing their bachelor's degree. First years are usually all placed together. Then you'll have second and final year undergraduate students living together. And then we have a number of postgraduate flats as well. So if you're looking to study a master's and you're applying for university accommodation, you'll only be placed with other master's or PhD students. Another student asking about the English language preparation year. So two kind of answers for that question for you here. Obviously, we have pre-sessional English, which isn't a full year, but are intensive English language courses available to you should you not quite meet that condition of your offer. And then we do have both an international foundation year prior to your bachelor's and a pre-master's year prior to your master's degree, understandably. And they do both include some intensive English language classes as well. Now, there are both 1 semester and 2 semester options for both the international foundation year and the pre-master's year. And you can find that on our website. I can speak to you directly moving forwards regarding that information if you think it's relevant to you. But yes, there are options to improve your English language knowledge before coming to the UK. Additionally, we have a global graduate scheme at the university, which essentially gives you the opportunity to learn a new language or to practice a language you're already slightly familiar with. We have 11 on offer, and there are different levels that you can achieve and work towards. And this is a recognised programme, so it will be, although it's separate to your academic studies, it would be mentioned on your transcript when you graduate, so that achievement is certainly recognised there. Scholarships, we actually don't have any scholarships at undergraduate level, but we do at master's level. So I think Ahmet, who asked, are they undergraduate only? It's actually the other way around. We have the international master's scholarship for our Turkish students. If that's of interest to you, please drop me an email after this and I can direct you to the information if you can't find it on the scholarships and bursaries page. We don't at the moment have anything at undergraduate level. However, if you progress from your bachelor's up to your master's, then there is a 20% fee discount from your master's degree. So that's an incentive, I hope, there. Lots of questions, which I'm loving, so please do keep them coming. So I'll mention kind of the English language questions again in one go. You will need to look firstly at your programme page and then click on the entry requirements tab. and that is where you will see the English language requirements for your specific program. Now, they are always given in IELTS. So the next kind of page to keep in mind, and this might be of interest to you, I'll put it in the chat box now for everybody, is our English language equivalencies page. So if you save that link in a new tab or make a note of the address for later on, you'll be able to there see all of the equivalent grades and different qualifications, so you can compare the IELTS grade to a TOEFL grade, for example. But if you're looking to find out what the English language requirement is for your preferred program at any level of study, please just visit your program page on the website, click on the Entry Requirements tab, and you will see it there. And again, if you're looking for specific admissions requirements, please drop me an email after this, because I'll need to know what curriculum you're following. Are you doing the Teach Diploma? Are you perhaps doing an international curriculum such as UK A-levels or the IB or SATs? And I can adapt the entry requirements for your qualification. General admissions related questions. We do accept the IB. So if you meet the entry requirements for that, you're not needing any additional requirements for any additional classes or courses on top of the IB, as long as you meet that grade. We may be looking for specific subjects for you to have studied in the IB. For example, it could be particular science we require, or maths or English, for example. Yes, you can apply for more than one postgraduate course. So in terms of the application process, you may well be aware that at undergraduate level, you apply through UCAS. So you can apply for up to 5 universities, 4 if you're looking for veterinary medicine or medicine. But if you're looking for any other program or subject area, then you can apply for up to 5 universities through UCAS at once. The main thing to keep in mind there is that your personal statement has to be relevant to each of those programs and every university you might apply for. So you can apply for more than one program at one university, but you just need to make sure that your personal statement as part of the application process is relevant to every course. Then at postgraduate level, there is the option to apply for as many programs as you could want, and you will need to make sure you write a new or adapt your personal statement for every application you submit to make sure it's relevant to that particular program and that specific university. So it's a lot more specific at postgraduate level than it is at undergraduate. Particular question on the TESOL MA programs suspended until next year. Unfortunately, they won't be going on until next September. It's to do really with the requirement for face-to-face teaching and the facilities and the space and everyone's kind of health and safety in that regards. So they will be going back on from next, hopefully this coming September or the following year, as long as everything's kind of more or less back to normal by that stage. So unfortunately, it isn't something that it's possible to appeal. If there are any other programs on that subject area that you're interested in, or you would like to find out if there are, please do let me know. And if I can be of any assistance, then of course I will. And finally, I think this is the last question so far. So please do, we've got a couple of minutes left. Please do come back in with a last minute question if there's anything else I haven't mentioned. How many minutes is it between the campus and the dormitories? So this will depend on which campus you're living on and also what course you're studying. If you are living on Stag Hill, in some of our lower band accommodation, and you're studying science or engineering or business management, for example, at any level, then it would probably take you about 5 minutes or so, maybe 10 if you're not a very fast walker, to get from your room into your classroom. If you are coming from Manor Park, it takes me, this is actually where I'm speaking to you from at the moment, as I'm a residential warden here as well. If you're coming from Manor Park, it takes me about 15 minutes to walk onto the main campus where your classes are. But like I mentioned, we do have the bus route that takes around 8 to 10 minutes to get you to your classes. Or alternatively, there's a cycle scheme and you can book out a bike or buy a bike and have one here on campus and get to and from classes in about 10 minutes. So the only accommodation that's a little further away is Hazel Farm, but the bus route still includes those halls residents for you. Okay, I think I may have answered all the questions, but I'll give it just another couple of minutes. Has anyone got anything else that they would like to answer for me? What I am going to do now is in the chat box, I'm going to put a link to a form if you would like further information. Or if you would just like to receive an email about the program you're interested in, or if you would like to kind of be in contact with me moving forwards, you'll receive an email from the university in the next 48 hours or so with information relevant to the details you filled in. And then if you reply to that email, it will come directly through to me. So you'll be able to kind of contact me with any questions about entry requirements, accommodation, master's scholarships, the placement year, anything like that. And just in case you don't already have the link, I'll just put that in for you. So similarly, if you're looking at bachelor's level, simply replace postgraduate with undergraduate and you'll be able to access all that information there. So just going to check questions. Will the conditions be the same even if we apply a year after we graduate with the IB? Very good question. So if you have left it a year and then you apply, the entry requirements may have slightly changed. So that's something to be aware of. They don't necessarily stay exactly the same year on year, but more or less with the IB, you should be okay. Yes, you can certainly leave it a year if you want to do that, or you can apply straight away and you can defer your application for the following year's entry point. So you could apply now, then defer it to September 2022. But yes, the entry requirements you'll see on the website, coming onto the website in the next few weeks, the next month, will be for September 2022. But we are still receiving applications and open to applications for September 2021 entry point. And those of you interested in masters, we do have a number of programs for which you can apply for a February 2022 entry point. So that's something quite new to the university, but it's gone incredibly well so far. So excited to be able to offer that again moving forwards. Something regarding entry requirements that I realized I hadn't mentioned. The grades you'll currently see on the website for this September 2021, they are currently around a grade lower than they usually are. This is because a lot of UK universities have lowered their entry requirements for this coming entry point to support students like yourselves, whose studies have been quite dramatically affected by COVID-19, and to try and provide a little bit more reassurance to prospective students. So that's why the entry requirements for September 2021 are a little bit lower than they usually are. Please keep that in mind if you're not looking to apply for another year or so, that they will go back up, most likely to their usual level. Okay, realizing at the time we've definitely hit the hour point, and I've done a lot of talking, so I'm very sorry about that. But I hope it's been incredibly informative for you and that you have learnt a lot about the University of Surrey. Please do fill out the form that I put in the chat. So it's in the chat box. If you can please click that out if you'd like any further information, then I'll be able to come back to you directly, and that would be really good. I'm just going to see if anyone else has got anything more to say at this point. I don't think we've had any more questions. Zainab, are you there? Is there anything else you'd like me to cover before we finish?
Yes, thank you very much for your presentation, Emma. Also, could you share an email address that the participants can directly contact?
Yeah, certainly. So the first option is the form, and then my email address is, let me just put it in the chat for you now. One thing to mention is that this particular week, it is the Easter closure period at the University of Surrey. So if you do drop me an email, it may be the coming Monday that I reply to you. So I'll try and keep track of my emails, but we're currently kind of closed as a university in terms of some departments. So all of the students are on their break and their holidays at the moment. So any questions, please do drop them across to me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So thank you for your patience there.
Yes, thank you very much again, Emma. It was a really informative webinar, and we had a lot of questions, and you covered them all.
Yes, I hope you have.
Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. University of Surrey ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için Emma'nın paylaşmış olduğu mail adresinden iletişime geçebilir. Linkleri inceleyebilirsiniz. Yarınki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you again, Emma. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.